So our podcast is called Over the Binary with Casey and Grace. And just to reiterate, I have been a licensed and marriage family therapist for over 30 years now, and founded Gender Wellness of Los Angeles because I found that there was a need, because there was really one other place that I knew of that treated transgender people where they could come and be themselves to help start their journey and work with other providers, because there really were only a handful of providers. And so I'm happy to know there's lots of other people that are doing it now. But there are, maybe Grace and I were talking about it before, there were like 2 or 3 other therapists that did what I did. So, and when I think about it now, I'm really surprised that the community felt comfortable coming to someone that was not transgender, and still felt comfortable to come see me. So, and then this is Grace O'Connor. Hi, Grace.
Hi, Casey. And do you have preferred gender pronouns, Casey?
Yes, I prefer she and her. Thank you for asking.
Of course.
And how about you, Grace? Do you have preferred pronoun and names?
Go by she, her, hers. Although, you know what, they, them, theirs is fine. It's a neutral, so I'm totally fine with that as well. But she, her, hers are my preferred ones, probably. So yeah, I am an associate marriage and family therapist at Gender Wellness. I work under the supervision of Casey, and I specialize in working with the transgender population of all ages. I think the challenges faced in the trans population can be very, very unique, and socially and socioeconomically, and our environments, and so it's work that I love. It's work that in my graduate program I really focused on as a specialization, and then just to be able to work with this population for the last 3 years has just been such a gift. It's so amazing to watch clients just blossom and become the very, very best versions of themselves. It's pretty amazing. And in that light, we have Luke with us today. Luke, can you just introduce yourself? Tell us your pronouns, please.
Hi, my name is Luke. I use he, him, his, or they, them, theirs. I don't really care. I'm a senior in high school this year, about to graduate, and yeah, I'm looking forward to being on the podcast today. Great to be with you guys.
You're our first guest, Luke. So, woo, we're breaking new ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
We named it Over the Binary because we're kind of over the binary, kind of hard, sick of, yes, right? I mean, so sick of restrictive nature of the binary, and a couple things related to that. But first, I just really want to ask, what's the school experience been for you as a senior in high school with COVID? Can you please tell us?
I mean, well, pre-COVID, it was kind of a nightmare. And it's just been like a total roller coaster. Like my administration doesn't really know how to handle trans kids. And it was weird because I wasn't the first trans kid, but it definitely felt like it. Going into like middle school, and having to come out was a whole other ballgame, because it's not like coming out as gay or lesbian or bi, because people have to refer to you a different way. And a lot of my teachers are older and they didn't even know what trans was. But yeah, so going into high school was different too, because the bathrooms, there was only one gender neutral bathroom, and it was at the very front of the school, far away from all of my classes. So I definitely felt like that one kid that had like special like needs than everyone else. I couldn't use the guy's bathroom because I was terrified. And there were a lot of people that were just not kind to me. And I didn't deserve that. I wasn't like a rude person or anything. They just had those like predispositions towards me. whenever you talk about like a trans guy, you think, oh yeah, they're going on testosterone, they're so angry and like immature, and like that's not true at all. When
Sure.
I went on testosterone, I was much happier. Like I felt more at peace.
Mhm.
So there's definitely like misrepresentation on what it looks like, and it looks different for everyone. But there is like a very like this is what it looks like standard, and
What
it's not
what,
true.
what could you tell other listeners, young youth, maybe age 12, 13, 14, 15, about um, when you figure this out about yourself and you want to tell your parents, or hormones, or because I think for a lot of young people, I think part of it is figuring it out yourself, and then who do you tell? And only what you feel comfortable, but how do you deal with that? How can you help young people kind of work with that journey?
It's hard. You have to find the right people, because I was lucky enough to have parents that were pretty accepting from the beginning. Um, but a lot of people don't have that, and it can be really scary. It's like it's taking a risk to tell your parents like this is me, and I'm kind of feeling this way about myself and how I identify. And it's hard because you kind of have to be expected to find those connections where you can tell people, because if you're not, then you're just going to be isolated, um, and you're going to have to hide it from everyone. But I mean, there's plenty of resources out there. There's lifelines. I don't know what the lifelines are called. I've never called them before, um, but as a young person, you do have to find those people that are going to be safe to tell, and you have to tell someone. Like you can't keep it all bottled up inside forever. And that's true with anything, but being trans is like big it's a big step, is
Mhm.
telling someone, and it can be dangerous, and I think that really sucks, because like you're like, what do I do with this information? Like I don't even know what to do with this information. How is someone else gonna handle what I tell them? But it is important to tell an adult. um, and again, like I'm lucky to have Casey, and I'm lucky to have UCLA, and I don't know, because I have never been in that situation where I didn't have someone to talk to. Um, but yeah, I don't know.
One question that I really want to ask, because I think it's just such a universal thing, is when did you start to become aware of your transgender identity, and what was it like when you first realized it? To the extent that you're comfortable to share, I'd really
Oh,
like.
I mean, I'm pretty much an open book. But I started having like feelings that something wasn't right. Um, in like seventh grade, I started going through like a really hyper feminine phase where I would put on like a pound of makeup every day. I would wear like really girly clothes, and I think that was trying to like convince myself that it wasn't wrong, like that I was a girl. I was just having these feelings, and they were like, I'm just a kid. Like all kids have these feelings, right?
Mhm.
But that wasn't the case. I didn't know what transgender was until I was in eighth grade. Um, and when I had found out what that was, I was kind of like, oh, that kind of like rings a bell. So I started looking more into it, and I started, presenting more masculine, and I felt a lot more comfortable doing it. I didn't feel so like disoriented all the time. Um, but yeah, and then I wasn't at home when I came out. Actually, I was traveling, not with my parents, but I did come out to them, and uh, they were kind of like, "What? Like you've been gone for so long, and now you come out as trans? Like what? That doesn't sound right." But then I came home, and I went back to school. This was over the summer, uh, and yeah, I don't know. I felt a lot more comfortable in my own skin. and even though like I wasn't 100% comfortable, because I don't really think any trans person when they first come out is like comfortable, just because of everyone else looking at you and wondering why are you doing this, and there's tons of worries, there's tons of anxieties, um, but I definitely felt like my identity fit.
Mhm.
Like I was okay with it. I felt I had some breathing room.
I mean, the one last thing I was thinking about is if you're going to hire a therapist or like what would be, Luke, something that, I mean, like you said, you left your first therapist because she had only worked with, you were the
She
first
actually
one.
left me.
She
She
left you.
left me.
Well, you know
not
what?
on not on purpose. She was moving.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But yeah, no, she was really sweet and she wanted to know more, but she didn't have like the only resources she had for that information was the internet. She
Okay.
didn't have like another like coworker to talk to about it.
Okay.
Um, so it wasn't like she was really great, but she couldn't help me.
I have been thinking about this lately. What does transgender affirming mean? If I'm a transgender affirming therapist, what does that mean? Because I think that's really important. And I think the only way I can be trans affirming is if I know the population that I'm working with, if I've done my work, if I've read the books, if I've had the clients, if I've done the research, if I've gone to school for it. Um, Otherwise, I don't know how else I can be trans affirming because, you know, empathy is great, but I think empathy combined with knowledge is even better. I think being able to share, my own personal experience and what I've learned and the clients that I've worked with, and be able to combine those just allows me to be more trans affirming. I'm not really nervous when I'm seeing transgender clients in general. I'm not worried that they're going to ask me something that I don't know the answer to. I may not know the answer to, but it doesn't worry. I'm not concerned about that because I'm pretty dug into the community at this point. So, yeah.
And there's always a place to start too if you don't have that information. There's tons of places to start.
Yeah. Well, I think we're out of time. Is there anything last statement, Luke, that you feel like you want to say to people? Or, I mean, you've been really amazing. It's kind of fun to actually interview a person, and I think Grace and I both agree that we wanted you to be our first guest. Um,
So sweet.
so,
um, well, I kind of just want to like end it off saying like there's so much more to being a person than this, and I feel like that's something I didn't really know at the time when I was first coming out, is like this whole thing was consuming my life to where I didn't have anything else. But there are other things you can put your energy into. It doesn't have to be this one thing. And I wish I had known that. And put yourself in good company. If you're with people that make you feel uncomfortable, leave. Find someone else. There's tons of people out there that are going to be accepting, and you don't have to be in that place forever.
I love that. What a great way to end on that note.
all
Wow.
right. Well, all
So
right. We will. Go ahead. What were you saying, Grace?
you've just been so great. It's been so great to meet you. And so great
Yeah,
to
you too.
last and
I love it.
yeah.
First podcast down.
Right on. All right. Well, we want to thank you, Luke, and we'll thank you again. I really appreciate it, and I guess we will sign off.
Yeah.
All
All right.
right.
Thanks for
We'll be
having
in
me.
touch. Take good care.